This is your sign. You should be drinking more water. Hi, welcome back to Sweet Infinity. My name is Kieran. I'm on a 30-day quest to read from one of my tarot or oracle decks, go over the artwork, and tell you about it and come up with a reading and interpretation that I hope resonates with you. So today I'll be reading from the Tarot of Curious Creatures deck by Chris Ann. Tarot of Curious Creatures. This is a very unique deck. I will show you the artwork. It comes with a little booklet, and we will read from the booklet as well as we pick the cards. And the artwork is very unique. Each card has these hybrid creatures, animals that are represented in humanistic form. It takes a little getting used to, and some of the cards are very funny. It's interesting to go through it because it's not just about the card and the animal, it's also about what that animal represents and how that relates to the traditional meaning of the card. There's definitely a connection there. I will read you the booklet. This is a bit more of an advanced deck. This is what I would call an advanced tarot deck because you have to have a good handle on what the meaning of the different cards are before you'll really get something out of this deck. But it's a good deck. It's very interesting and it has a very nice texture. It's fun to handle and it can be very funny and lighthearted. So if you want to do a reading and be a little funny about it, this is a good deck for that. So I'm going to shuffle and we'll get started. Please remember to subscribe to this channel. Leave a little thumbs up if you like the content and also leave me a comment. It helps to show this video to other people if you interact with the video. So I'd really appreciate that. And if you know somebody who is into animal imagery or animal-based tarot and oracle cards, this is a good deck for them. I'm going to leave a link on the bottom in the description with some affiliate links where you can get this deck. If you are so inclined to purchase it, please do get it from one of my links. It will help me out a little bit and it won't cost you anything extra. So, win-win. Okay, let's pick a few cards, see what we can come up with. Four of Swords, a sloth sleeping. Okay, next we have the Hanged Man. And this time it's a bat hanging upside down. Ooh, the Devil card. We have the Devil card this time. It's a goat. It's a mountain goat. And there's these two humans in cages. That's interesting. Then we have the Seven of Cups with the little doggy and 7 cups. We have Justice with a parrot. So let's read from the deck booklet and see what we come up with. First up, Four of Swords. Deep rest, a time for grounding and connecting with your soul, gifting yourself permission to be unproductive, hobbies and activities that fill your heart with joy. You've been climbing so hard and it's time to slow down. Like weigh the sloth down. Maybe you've been dipping into your energetic reserves and forgetting to refill them later, or maybe the warning bells have been ringing for a while now and you've been pushing your deep rest off to the side, always promising yourself to unwind someday soon. All the someday soons are finally catching up with you and it's time to process and integrate the lessons you've collected. Today, take a long pause for your spirit, your body, mind, and soul require this, and new information cannot arrive until you clear space and restore your life force. Burnout looms, so lounge around with some trees and make slow, deliberate movements towards mindful living. Notice who you are right now and the incredible progress that you've missed while being busy. Hunker down with the Four of Swords for a cycle. It will re-energize you for the rest of your journey and replenish the vitality needed to remember exactly who you are and where you're headed next. Next we have the Hanged Man. A pause, letting go of outcome, seeing things from a new perspective, enlightenment, altered state, sacrifice, spiritual lessons, new insights, initiations, sensing the extraordinary universe. When we dig our heels in and refuse to let go, we risk stagnation. The Hanged Man wants you to rise above and to flip your perspective to see your situation anew. What if you adopted someone else's point of view? How would your situation change dramatically? This bat knows that seeing a clear path is not as powerful as sensing it, especially if you find yourself in the dark. A different vantage will offer incredible insights, and sometimes we inadvertently put ourselves smack dab in the middle of these liminal states of waiting. pausing, sensing, because on some level, we know that new levels of awareness will sprout from these often uncomfortable interruptions. The hanged man is a necessary and healing limbo. Suspend mindfully, relinquish control, as there is nothing you can do right now except to surrender to the will of the heavens. And by altering your consciousness with the bat, an unraveling of ego will unlock a brilliant new future. Next, the Devil card. Vices and temptations. A time to break free from addictions, bondage, possessiveness, materialism, damaging illusions, limitations, shame, learning to forgive yourself, the potential for liberation. When we are locked in desire, are consumed by materialism, or lust after something that does not feed our soul, we can feel trapped and manipulated by our own emotions or past choices. The lack of true fulfillment can leave us spiraling in the after effects of a flood of dopamine without lasting contentment. If you are feeling any shame around what you want or where you've been, allow this light-hearted goat to walk you to the door of your shadows so that you can see exactly where the light pours in. Take a reflective, empathic look at how you arrived at this set of circumstances and how you can untether yourself from them at any time. Your bindings are an illusion, and any challenges that you face are only temporary. There are transformative lessons here, and desire and temptation do have a sweet spot. If you've been decidedly rigid and prudish, it may be time to be swept up in creature comforts and in the pleasure of it all. There's always a choice to liberate yourself from the self-imposed constraints. This card is sometimes disturbing for people who are not familiar with the tarot. It's depicted differently in different decks, obviously, different artists, but it always signifies addictions, temptations, and our self-imposed way of failing to take responsibility for our actions. And when we fail to take responsibility, that's when we can say the devil is the one in charge, because the devil represents our failure to take responsibility. That's what this card represents. Next up, Seven of Cups. Opportunities and options, fantasies, illusions, having a choice to make without the benefit of having the complete picture. Sometimes life's buffet of choices can look a whole lot like a dog's breakfast. Am I right? But when we look beyond our own confusion and when we dive into the imagination to find our way, we can discover multiple paths lying ahead of us, each one offering different experiences to be tasted. We must focus on our deepest desires so that we are not sidetracked by all the possible opportunities or all the scary things, most of which are not real. As you look at your cups, filled with spiritual awakenings, financial abundance, romances, careers, and goals, you'll find a lot of ingredients to work with. Life is made up of a series of ingredient choices, and even though sometimes you can only choose one cup at a time, it doesn't mean that over time your path won't be filled with all the things. If it feels difficult to zero in on options that are truly available to you at this time, start by letting go of the wishbones, possibilities, and daydreams that feel unexciting or vague. Release expectations placed on you by others. Then use your discernment and your intuition to take a thoughtful step closer to a specific dream. So this is about having too many choices, a kind of wishful thinking where you think you can have it all, but you kind of have to sometimes make a choice. It's about executive decision making for those of us with ADHD, having just too many choices and not knowing where to start. And we had the Justice card. Ethics, morality, fairness, proper action, balance and adjustments, truth, legal matters, positive outcomes, and accountability. Doing the right thing doesn't always mean doing what the rest of the flock is doing. The wise parrot will repeat and repeat her candid account of your situation so that you may open your heart and seek alignment of intention, emotion, and behavior. It's time to look at how you truly feel about your past words and actions. When issues of fairness, justice, or injustice surface in your life, you are being asked to act rightly and be the voice of loving accountability. This karma card highlights the cause and effect sequences that we trigger with our choices. And it also asks us to compassionately and justly allow ourselves to grow from past experiences, encounters, and challenges. Remember that the answer is not always black or white, and that you can call on the beautiful gray. The gray is teeming with infinite possibility. When faced with nebulous uncertainty, seek counsel inside of your own vibrant heart, and it will allow you to grow toward the most truthful and light-filled opportunities available to you. Your measured and impartial truth will be found through the eyes of loving change. That's from the Tarot of Curious Creatures Guidebook, by Chris Ann. So we have these 5 cards right now. The sloth sleeping, 4 of swords. The bat hanging, the hanged man. The goat as the devil with the humans in cages. The dog with lots and lots of choices, not sure what to choose. And the parrot as justice. You know, some things came up for me as I was looking through these cards just now. A few patterns that emerge. If you notice that several of these cards talk about choices and being stuck making choices, either having too many choices or making choices that are not good for us, right? Or making no choice where you kind of stay in limbo forever and don't want to make a choice. A lot of this has to do with choice making. And then we have the sloth and the hanged man, the hanged bat. Now this card is usually about retreat, strategic retreat, taking time to take a break from the fight, whatever you've been fighting, whatever you've been dealing with, the struggle, taking a vacation, taking a break, going on a retreat of some kind. And then this one represents change of perspective. So the bat, as we know, is an animal that tends to hang upside down. So that's an interesting choice for this card, right? And then the devil card, if you notice here, these 2 humans are in these cages, but I don't know if you can see, but the cages are open, okay? The door to this cage is open here. The door to this cage is also open. These 2 doors are open on these cages. These humans are pointing at each other and they look like they're ready to fight with each other. They're looking at each other. There's conflict. They're caged. Meanwhile, the goat is just like laughing, smiling, and he's holding the cages. These 2 could run out anytime. The cage is open. Why are they in the cage? So while we look at this figure as the bad guy, this is actually just a representation of these 2 not taking choices. The humans, the people, us, not taking responsibility for our choices. And as long as we stay trapped in our bad habits, in our temptations, in our addictions, we stay trapped. And it's our choices. We have to choose to step out of the cage. Because it's not like this guy is holding the cage closed. The cage is open. And he's just chilling. He's just doing his thing. He's enjoying it. He's enjoying our deluded state. But we are deluded because we chose to be. And on some level, that's how I see a lot of people's bad choices. Throughout history, people have said, the devil made me do it, things like that. And it's just another way to deflect responsibility, to blame an external force instead of saying, I chose to do it and I was wrong and I'm sorry and I won't do it again. And then not doing it again. That's the right way to deal with a mistake or a bad choice that somebody made. Instead, we look for external excuses. The other thing about this card, so it's about changing your perspective, and it's about seeing things from and about letting go of thinking that you always have to be in control all the time. So this is about that. And because it's a bat, I'm also thinking about how bats are blind and they tend to travel or see through sonar. They use echolocation, which is they make sounds and then the way that the sound bounces back tells them where to go and where the walls are so they don't run into walls and things. So they use something called echolocation. So not only is this card about changing your perspective, like flipping your perspective and looking at things from other points of view as much as you can, putting yourself in other people's shoes, let's say, but also about using other senses. Not looking at just what's in front of you with your eyes or the normal way that you would interpret a situation, but kind of thinking like, what else is there? What other way of navigating this situation is there? I think that's really an interesting way of looking at this card. I've seen this card in a lot of different decks, but having the bat there also makes me think about other kinds of ways of navigating the world, not just the ways that we're used to. And then we have the sloth. The sloth is literally called the sloth. And sloth is extreme laziness or extreme inability or lack of desire to do anything. The sloth is very, very slow. It's a very chill kind of animal. And it's cool that it's depicted here because it's like, get in touch with your inner sloth, especially if you're somebody who's a workaholic or who has a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Get in touch with your inner sloth. Get in touch with just being, existing, and not always being on, not always performing for everyone else. I'm seeing some kind of retreat. I'm seeing some kind of beach. If you can find your way to a beach or a resort of some kind, That would be great. Go by a body of water. Go by some kind of river, ocean, lake, something like that. I think it'll help. Then we have our dog. And this dog has way too many choices. He has cookies, other dogs, a snake to play with, a frog, a bone. He's got a lot of choices. So what should he choose? It's about indecision. I have ADHD, so I know what that's like. I end up not knowing where to start, having too many ideas, collecting ideas and then not implementing them, overthinking, huge problem. So this is the card about indecision, overthinking. ADHD, really. This is the ADHD card. This poor doggy has ADHD. And then we have the Justice card, which is cool that there's a parrot here. That also reminded me in Twin Peaks and several other crime dramas. I've seen a plot device used where a parrot repeated something that gave away who the criminal was or whatever, some secret that was supposed to be hidden. There was a parrot there and the parrot heard it, and then parrots that tend to speak and tend to repeat what they heard ended up repeating something that gave away to the police or whatever, something that they were looking for, some clue or whatever. When I saw this parrot in the Justice card, I thought of that. I thought of that scene from Twin Peaks and other cop dramas and stuff. The parrot repeats this over and over. So you can, most parrots, you can train them to say some things over and over. But they also sometimes learn to say things that they hear in the household. So if there's a lot of swearing going on, there could be parrots that are swearing like humans do. And they also sometimes, some of them are very good at mimicking the sounds that they heard. Not just what was said, but how it was said, even the voice that it was said with. And justice, I think, as that, the past that keeps haunting you, the mistake that won't go away until justice is served. So what is justice in this world? Fairness or justice? It's a kind of back and forth where whatever is done to you is done to the people who did it to you, or whatever you do is eventually done to you. And that is a basic concept that is in every culture, also at the heart of, I think, being human. We have this innate sense of fairness and justice. It's interesting, and different cultures have different ways of explaining it or working with it, describing it and setting up institutions around it. But there is a sense of fairness or justice that is built into humans. And I think that this parrot in this deck represents the way that your conscience and justice itself won't stop until there is an equilibrium of fairness in the world. So what does this all mean, all put together? Let's see. When I see these cards, I always find that there's a story in there that I can put together. The cards together tell a story. They have their own meanings, and then there are meanings that they tell together. And in this reading, what I'm seeing, the first card that we've got was the Sloth card, the Four of Swords. That was the first one that I picked up. And this is the card of somebody who needs a break. Then we had the Hanged Man card. And this person needs not just a vacation, but a complete change in perspective. So you have been working your ass off on something and you need a break. You're getting burnt out. You're close to burning out. You need a break from that, or a situation that you found yourself in, and you need a break. You need to take a real break from it, and you need to change your perspective. Maybe something's going on in the world or around you that is just bugging the hell out of you, and you need to flip. You need to think from other perspectives, because when you change how you see the world you see changes. It's like when you get a car and it's a purple car, and then all of a sudden all you see are purple cars on the road, but you never noticed it before, or a particular make or model of a car. That's not that like all of a sudden people are buying that make or model. You just notice it more. So that's what happens when you change your perspective. So not only do you need a break, you need a change of perspective. You have to be careful not to get sucked into maybe some old drama or addictions. That is what this card is, like a warning, where it's like taking a break and changing a perspective does not mean reverting to an earlier or less advanced version of yourself. Take responsibility for your actions. And you have a lot to choose from. You might feel tempted to go back to some old vices, maybe substances or a behavior that you are familiar with. Because when you have too many choices, you might say, well, I'll just choose the thing that I know I used to enjoy, right? Well, be careful with that. Be careful with that, okay? Choose something to do that you won't regret later. Because this is the card of justice. So if something that you're doing is unjust or unfair, or something that was done to you that was unjust and unfair that you do something in response to, like let's say some people are into substances that were used around them by people who didn't treat them well, but then they end up using those same substances. Well, you have to be just to yourself. You have to be fair to yourself, which means taking on healthier habits, healthier ways of being, healthier ways of taking a break. I feel like that's what this whole thing here is about, is that you need a healthier way of working. You need to take a break. You're getting burnt out, and you need to do it in a way that changes your perspective. But be careful not to get sucked into old patterns of behavior that didn't work out for you. And maybe you were working so hard to escape them, but that's not where you want to go back to. Even though it might feel like you have just too many choices, but that's a good thing. That means you are at a place now where you don't have to make bad choices again. Make the best choice. Make the choice that comes from your heart. As the description says, make the choice that is full of your heart. It comes from your heart. And you will see that it will lead you to a more fair way of treating yourself and others. And that's okay, because that's part of your learning process. That's part of your journey. So even though you're resting, it doesn't mean that you're not evolving. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if this brought up anything for you. I'd love to hear from you. And also please give a thumbs up if you like the video. I will be back with another reading, and you can also check out the other videos on my channel. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Thank you for coming here to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell too. Take care of yourself and take care of each other, and have a sweet infinity.